Welcome back to Living with a Classic, and I'm here with this Mark II, which has some running issues. Idle's pretty okay, slight misfire them, but not too bad. However, it will not really rev cleanly past 2,500 RPM, and at 3,000 it just stops. So let's try and troubleshoot that today. I really believe it's just ignition related, how it feels when I'm driving, because there's really no backfiring anything, and it doesn't completely quit as if you're running out of fuel or it's running lean. Also, it wasn't that long ago I saw this car and I just changed fuel filters and everything, and I cleaned out the tank and everything, and I know that fuel system's pretty good. So we're going to start with the ignition system, still on points and everything, and go through, troubleshoot it, and try and figure out what is going on. So let me show you guys what it looks like here. I just pulled it into the workshop. And you know, it's been sitting here warming up a little bit. It's cold outside, but I did take it for a drive yesterday in the evening, so I'll show you guys here what that looked like. You can see that it really doesn't want to rev past 2,500 RPMs. All right, I put it in low gear there with the automatic transmission, and above 2,500 RPM it starts misfiring. So let's see if it does it now. Yeah, it does not want to go any further than that. Let's try again. It's all spluttery and juddery. Yeah, 3,000 is all it will rev to. This particular Mark II is a 3.4, but would be same if it was a smaller or larger engine. You have this big pancake air filter up here that we will take off and try and have a look at everything underneath here. Coil sits up there. We're going to test the coil, and my bets are on either, let me just get this off, either a bad coil or a bad condenser in the distributor. Before we pull off everything and just dive in, we're going to start with the simplest thing, which is sitting right up here, the coil. I put some tape on this side just so I can know which one goes where. Of course, batteries disconnect, all of that. I just want to check the resistance in the coil. This being a non-ballast system, should see somewhere around 3 ohms. We're just doing a back connection. What's going on? We're seeing nothing. That's very strange. Could that be the issue? Well, it helps if you have your multimeter in the right setting. .8, close enough for 3. So that is fine. Usually primary winding checking, secondary winding we can check as well, but that's just really telling you how powerful the spark is. So I'd probably say that is fine for now, at least. Contacts were a little dirty on it, so we'll clean it up and put this all back together. Also going to later check voltage on here. But what I think we want to do is we'll pull the wires, we'll just pull out the plugs, see what they look like, make sure that nothing weird is going on there. Like I said, it was running fine about a month or so ago when I saw it, and now something weird has happened, and we just did a basic service on it then, so nothing really weird. I'll pull out the plugs, lay them out for you, we'll have a look at them. They all look good. Nothing really to complain. Pretty even. So, yeah. Not really much to complain about. Maybe a little tad richer on the front card, but really nothing bad at all. It really is just this one that is a little bit leaner than the rest, and they're in the same order that they go in. So don't really think that is a problem. That's always a good place to check. What I want to check next is that we're getting voltage at the coil. So I'm going to try and figure out which one of these wires is just the voltage plus to the coil. This is not original. Someone has made some new wires in here, which will happen with a 60-year-old car. So we'll figure that out, turn on the ignition, make sure we're getting voltage at the coil. I've turned the ignition on in the car, but the battery's disconnected because we'll find a good ground on there. This should be the positive from the key. And we have it set to volts. So when I hook up the negative battery cable there, we're seeing 11.4. It's, maybe not exactly 12 or as much as I would want, but I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. Especially with it running, it will be 12 volts on there. So I don't think that is our issue. We're probably leaning towards the condenser. Condensers can give really weird issues, everything from non-starts to will only idle, won't rev, or odd misfires. So that was really loose as well. So we'll tighten that clamp up a little bit so it goes on here a little tighter. And then we'll dig into the distributor. Not really sure what I'm going to do with you guys because the distributor on the next K engine is in the worst possible position to film. So we'll see. Maybe we'll pull it out just to have a look on the bench as well. It's also a lot easier to work on it on the bench. But I'm going to have a look at that and bring you guys in for a closer look either here on the engine or on the bench. Remove the cap, and down there is the distributor. So what I think I'll do, actually, I'll remove it just because I do have new points for it. Don't think there's anything really wrong with the ones in there, but they're so cheap. We're going to replace those when we do the condenser. I'll remove it with the base plate. That way, when we get it back in, it will be pretty well timed. It can only go in one position, really, these distributors. So, and also you can see where the rotor's pointing. So behind there, where this finger's pointing down, there is a little bolt. Undo that, and then we could pull the distributor straight out, and we'll have a look at it in the bench. Here we go. The distributor in the bench. You see points are opening and closing there. Everything is working as it should. Found one issue right away. So this cover sits on top of here, and then the distributor cap sits on top. And that is the trigger signal off to coil. You see that it's probably not making that great of a connection right there. I'll thread it up, see if I can replace that cable, or if I have a spare one of like this part laying around. It might actually. Other than that, I think our culprit is the condenser. I'm going to check that I have the correct set of points at home, because I'm not really sure the ones I have are exactly the same. But I'll double check that. If I have new points, we'll put those in because why not? Otherwise, I think the points in there are not too bad at all. I'm going to remove the old condenser here. It's probably the culprit. And I'm going to have a look at the points I have. Gone through my points, and I do have a set that are correct. I'm just going to make sure I have a spare condenser somewhere, because I think that this is our little culprit. So let me have a look through my stash, see if I have a spare one. Hope I do. I probably have a new one somewhere, and I probably have a new old stock as well from back in the day, and those are usually better. So if I find one of those, we will fit a new old stock condenser. New points are in. We're going to set the points cap. Should be between 14 and 16 thousandths of an inch. This is 16 thousandths of an inch here. If you want a detailed video on points, I've actually made one. I'll try to remember to link it down below. It's just on troubleshooting and setting up points and all that. However, just make sure that you're on the lobe. Now we open it up to get a little bit of a gap. Somewhere around there. And then we'll tighten that down. I'll rotate it over one gap, or to one lobe, and a little big. Let's see. On the lobe there, and perfect. Point gaps set up. I went through my stash of things and I found a spare distributor where this cable is not damaged and in good condition, so we'll use that instead. I'm going to put the condenser back on, or a different condenser back on. I am going to put this all together. We'll plop it in the car, fire it up, see how it runs, take it for a test drive, see if the issue is fixed. Otherwise, I think it's onto the coil. With it all together and adjusted, I always like to test that I don't have a short circuit or anything inside before I put it on the car. The only thing points do is open and close a connection to ground. And it's the interruption of the connection to ground that fires the coil. So the ground here is the body of the distributor. I have one lead hooked up here, and I have the multimeter set to continuity. It will beep. So right now points are closed, open, closed, open. So yeah, everything's working as it should. I'll stab that back into the cart. I have a new rotor, a new distributor cap. Might as well replace them. Put it all back together and see how it runs. It's all back together. I have warmed it up so that the choke turned off, and verified timing just a tiny bit. It seems to run really nicely. Let me just lean in here and hit the button. And that's running really nicely. Let's take it for a brief little test drive and see how it does. Alright, I'm on my private road here. We're in low gear. Let's... Yeah, pulls no problem at all. So, all that was is a condenser going bad. Let's try again. Revs really nicely. Well, it's the next day, and I've gone for a little bit of a longer drive just from cold, make sure everything is fine. Went up on the highway, did highway speeds, or even a little bit more than that, and it pulls really well and runs really great now. So the issue, just a little condenser, but like I said, while we're in there, might as well replace the points. They're so cheap with everything apart, and I don't know how old those points were, but like I said, might as well. I also did one other thing to the car, because when I was putting everything back together and I was looking a little bit closer, even though the coil tested out fine, it was looking like it was starting to leak a little bit. And they're usually filled with oil or something. And I thought, you know, let's not risk it. I have a new coil for the car, so put that on as well. And I think the owner will be happy, because the other one, it looked like it was probably at least 40 years old or something. So good idea. He is the first owner in a long time to daily this car. Previous owners have just, you know, done some light summer miles and things. He actually uses it. So good thing to have that replaced. So now everything in the ignition system is new and should be good to go. Anyways, I hope that you liked this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help out a lot. Until next time, I'm Adam. This was Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.